At this time, we'd like to interrupt this rant to prevent it from becoming too political in nature. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, that'll get me canceled. Hello, everyone. I am Mecha Random 42, the one, the only, the original, your favorite YouTube consumer advocate, Harpy, our favorite actress and MMA fighter and all-around hero. You know what? I want to be Gina Carano when I grow up. I want to be somebody just like her who has the guts to stand up for what she believes in, has the guts to not be slighted, has the guts to stand there and say, no, you don't get to do this to me. This is not what I meant. This is not what I said. And I will not allow you to drag my name through the mud just because you don't like me, just because you have a vendetta against people who might disagree with you or think differently. Why the intro? Why the intro? We all know what Gina Carano was accused of. We all know that she was accused of posting something that a lot of people took out of context. Many times over. And this interview that we're going to dissect here, we're going to speed it up a little, has been done by one of the very people that she's supposed to have slighted. And I don't see him being very offended. I don't see him running her over the coals. Is that what it is? Running her over the rails? Is that the term? I don't even know the term I'm supposed to be using anymore. I don't see him giving her the what for. I see him treating her like a reasonable person would. You know, one of the very people she's supposed to have slighted. So this is a politics ball commentator that I don't really know. His name is Ben Shapiro. I don't really watch him because, as you guys know, my about as deep as I go into politics is, do you play guitar on your stream? I'll watch you if you play guitar. I don't think this guy plays guitar. I could be mistaken. If he does, I might check him out. Now, that being said, he did an interview with Gina Carano. These wokerati have this sick fascination with tearing down anyone who doesn't fit their narrative, but Gina, she refuses to let them tear her down, which is why she's a hero. Not only that, she stands up for the people, for the underdog. She stands up for people who don't have a voice in this. When I see her fighting for what she believes in and for the power to not be canceled, I see her fighting and standing up for every single person who is afraid to speak up at work when they get a little talking to, for every single person who is afraid to speak out, who just puts their head down and does their job because they don't want to lose their livelihoods. They don't want to lose their home. They don't want to lose their family. They don't want to lose everything that they have built up. So they have to play by these rules of, we suck. We know we suck. We suck for being born, and we suck, and you need to punish us for things that we never did. And that's what they will go with, and that's what they will say. And it's only a matter of time before they come for everybody. It's only a matter of time before they come to you. It's only a matter of time. Because what happens? If you don't join their clique, you get ostracized. If you don't go after others, if you don't turn your own zealotry into this witch hunt to go and say, look what you said, look what you did, look what you did. Let's get into the interview. We did speed it up a little bit.
Jon Favreau wants to meet with you. I was like, yes, absolutely. And they were like, we don't know what it's about. And so we set up a meeting, and Jon Favreau took me through. He's like, you don't know why you're here? And I'm like, no, but here's a bottle of wine. And I'm a big fan. And he took me through all of the concept art. And he's like, well, we're here to cast you as a part in our new Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian.
And
so here's one thing I want to mention. I want to point out. Jon Favreau, this is an important thing to remember, that he is the one who is directly responsible for casting her in this role. This is his baby. This is his show. This is his thing. So any behind the scenes tug of war between Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau, this just confirms even further that Jon Favreau's baby was The Mandalorian, that the Cara Dune action figure was canceled and removed as well. That was a direct slap in the face from Kathleen Kennedy's part of Lucasfilm to Jon Favreau's camp at Lucasfilm, where she said, you know what? I still have all the power, and I can take money out of your pocket. We're going to cancel this action figure so you don't get any rights for it. And we're going to cancel it so Gina doesn't get any rights for it anymore. Because I believe they probably get some sort of residuals. At least she got paid her likeness rights up front. But for somebody like Jon Favreau, having probably the back end on any toy that he created, any character that he created that has a toy made from it, not only did we have little baby Yoda getting sent off with Uncle Luke, we also had Now we have the removal of Cara Dune. This screams to me that Kathleen Kennedy is doing whatever she can to burn down the Mandalorian and destroy any of the things that we liked about it. What did I like about Mandalorian? Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda. He was always my favorite. What does everybody else like about Mandalorian? They loved Cara Dune. They loved Bill Burr. They loved Bill Burr's character. He's probably next on the chopping block. Mandalorian was and is exactly the Star Wars that people like Kathleen Kennedy at Lucasfilm were unable to give us with the sequel trilogy. And if that were the case, where I was so bent, if I were Kathleen Kennedy and so bent on presenting us with this strong female character of Rey that everybody rejected and hated just for the Mandalorian to come along and have Jon Favreau's little project be not only have an amazing, strong female badass character like Cara Dune, but also have everything that the Star Wars fans wanted. It brought in the normies. It brought in the casual viewers. It brought in the Funko collectors. It brought in the wine. It brought in everybody to the table. Everybody that Lucasfilm thought they wanted and then some. It kept the old fans happy. It brought a lot of the old fans back after Solo couldn't. After The Last Jedi destroyed us all. So this just further indicates to me this tug of war behind the scenes at Lucasfilm.
And how quickly was it apparent to you that politics was going to be a problem, either in the production of the show or on the set or in any way?
The interesting thing I think about this whole political thing in me is I'm not like you. I've never been really interested in politics. And then
This is how they get you. As somebody who's had personal experience in this, being somebody who doesn't talk about politics, being somebody who didn't vote after 2000, being somebody like for my own personal experience, this modern day culture, this modern day environment pushes you to a side, whether you want to be there or not, whether you want to be labeled as one. Like, if you are not part of the woke cult, their clique, their gang, then you are not on their team, and then you are by default other. You are by default on the other side.
And as soon as I started seeing what was happening, I guess in 2020, I started looking up like, well, maybe the adults don't have it under control, and maybe I'm an adult now, and maybe I have a responsibility to pay attention.
That's exactly when I started paying attention to more of the political, because you couldn't avoid it. You're going about your life, and then 2020 happens, and then it's like, oh crap, now I got to check my social media all the time because I'm home all the time because I got nothing else. And you start seeing and you start reading and you start realizing, oh, you people are just reacting to a bunch of bullshit that somebody said, and you're not paying attention. You're not reading what they said. You're not actually, and I should have known better being somebody who's been slammed by the wokes on YouTube for the past couple of years. That's when you really, really start waking up to this. And you can't avoid being dragged into it if you have any sort of presence in reality.
And I guess when we first started having, problems was it had to have been on the pronoun usage, I think, was the first problem.
She noticed the first time the people were going after her was because of the pronoun thing. All right. I noticed the first time people were going after her. I think they had it out for her. I think they did in 2019. I think once they realized she wasn't going to be part of their little wokier than thou clique. I think once they realized, and here's the thing, like I said, if you are not political, they shove you to a side whether you are there or not, right? If you are not one of these vocal screaming SJW types, they're going to label you conservative. They're going to label you Republican. They're going to label you whatever they think that you are, because you are not loud and vocal on their team, rooting and trying to destroy other people on behalf of their team. So wherever your political leanings lie, if you are not part of that little subgroup, that tiny little vocal minority, the loudest, screamingest brats out there, if you're not part of that little group, they're going to label you that anyway. And in 2019, CBR ran a hit piece on her stating that people had a problem with women in The Mandalorian, when the only person I saw them quote was a parody, a joke account, a satire account called Jar Jar Not Abrams, It's a parody account that they were quoting as fact to try and set up this narrative that, oh, well, Star Wars fans hate women for when they would ultimately get rid of her. They didn't even have to do that. They just had to trigger the right mob, the right group of people, the right little wokey mob. And this is what she's talking about with the pronoun usage. And here's the thing, and I'm going to say this. You do not have the right to force people to put a pronoun into their bio if they do not wish to. Just because they do not want to put a pronoun in their bio, it is not against you. It just means that sometimes people have other shit to do and other shit to deal with. That is not talking about you, right? That is not talking about the little wokey woke mob. Special Agent Randy Beans, $5 super chat. Lucasfilm sounds like really sick, like a really sick place. Oh, we're not even getting into the half of it with what they wanted to do to her. They basically wanted to put her in a re-education Zoom meeting.
Can you take us through sort of the controversy over the transgender pronouns? Because that was the first time you started really trending on Twitter for politics.
I ended up putting beep bop boop in my Twitter bio.
That's what R2D2 would say. He'd be beep bop boop.
And 100%, it was 100% to go to the Twitter mob that was telling you what to do. And it had zero to do with trying to go after the transgendered community.
Here's the thing. Most of these people who go after you on social media for not doing or joining or ganging up on. And a lot of these people aren't actually transgendered. A lot of these people don't actually care. A lot of these people who will swarm an actor. Because Data Racer has pulled up countless screenshots of these people. They don't have pronouns in their own bios. Maybe she's tired of the mobs and the mob mentality, which is what she just said right here. She did that to stand up and protest the mob, the Twitterati, the bot accounts, the marketing accounts, the people who have 4 or 5 different Twitter handles, and they're all sock puppets, and they sit their butts on Twitter all goddamn day, just harassing people, bothering people, archiving things from years ago to cancel you over.
Because I would never do that. I'm just me personally, I'm not trying to target anybody or go out after anybody. And so as soon as I saw people started taking that wrong, I put right after that, I was like, no, beep bop boop was like me just saying, I literally said to my friend, I was like, let's put something in my bio just to show like I can put whatever I want in my bio. Just like they put like whatever they want in their bio, like Trash Panda and all this stuff. And like,
that is ooh. These people who will go after you, like she said, they will put whatever the fuck they want in their bios. They will put Trash Panda. They will put, they will put Meat Popsicle. They will put. I mean, I think mostly people mocking the pronoun gangs, right? Not the transgender community, because the transgender community are not all one multi-conglomerate of one group think. And that's the other thing. That's the other thing that these mobs don't understand is when they swarm somebody. Then you're just presenting this stereotype that you're all that this group, this community all thinks and acts and wants the same thing. They're not this giant group of people who only think and swarm and do and move like the freaking Borg. Sorry, they're not. And the fact that these mobs get on social media just kind of trying to force people into these stereotypes, it's disgusting.
So I just put these noises in my bio, and then there was this crazy meltdown. It was just a big, massive meltdown, and all of the fear and all of the stuff goes straight through your skin, and you start like, whoa, what is happening? Like, I told you I didn't mean this towards this community, and like,
oh, they don't care. They've been looking for something to go after you because you're the next target. You're the next one down. That's what they do. They will focus all of their rage and hatred on one specific individual because it gives them their little endorphins. It gives them their little likes. It gives them their clout. It gives them power, because these are, a lot of the time you get these people who they're just children. You are labeled in their minds. You are the enemy. So no matter what you said, what you meant, and this is why I always say you never apologize. You always want to turn it on them and showcase and hold a mirror up to them. You gotta be really thick-skinned, and you gotta treat them like they're telemarketers. You've got to treat these people, if you get into a swarm on social media, and they'll come for everybody eventually if you dislike Star Trek Star Trek Discovery rather, and prefer TNG to Discovery, or if you say, hey, season 1 of TNG wasn't that bad, they will come for you because you are now labeled as other. You are not part of their little tribe. They have these little signals to each other of little things that they all say and do and think. And the second you contradict one of these little unspoken and ever-changing rules, then they will swarm for you, because especially if you're an easy target, especially if you're somebody who's just going to, who they think is the lower tier. If they think, oh, you're the woman in the community who has a lower sub count than somebody else, then we're going to go after you, because they silence you from the bottom up. That's what they do. They silence you from the bottom up, right? And then once they can't silence you, then they start writing hit pieces. Then they start banning. Then they start doing anything else they can to shut you up. But if you're one of the bottom tier or lower tier sort of people that they think they can get away with doing this to, then they will go after you. And if you are a actual strong-willed person who is not going to be bent over by these mobs, they're going to come after you 10 times harder. So is it any surprise to me? No, not at all, because I've been through this myself with a lot of this. So,
you're misunderstanding it. And it was just a shock wave went through my body. So I was like, oh, this is what this feels like. This is uncomfortable.
So Disney came to you and presumably Lucasfilm and asked you to put out some sort of apology, or how did they deal with that?
I had a publicist at the time, and they said, you have to put out apology. This is messed up. This is awful. And I was like, okay. I did say right after that tweet, I clarified for everybody, this was not directed towards the trans.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's the thing. They don't care if you apologize. They want you to submit. They don't want you to apologize. They want you to join them or be destroyed by them. That's really how it is. They are the blob, and they are swarming and consuming and destroying anything in its path. And if they can't incorporate you, then they want you gone. It doesn't matter if you apologize. It doesn't matter what your intent is. It doesn't matter what's in your heart or who's actually right and who's actually on the right side of history right now. It really doesn't. And we need to have everybody all at once stand up to this stuff to finally put a stop to it. And is that going to happen? I don't know.
Gender community in any way. And I've also been watching celebrities apologize left and right, and it's very ingenuine. And I said, can you just give me a moment, because I'm kind of feeling emotional right now, and can I just do my own research? And so, they were like, okay, yeah, do your research, but you need to get on the phone tomorrow with our LGBTQ transgender section.
A section. They have a section. So they're sectioning them off. No wonder they segregate the gays on Discovery. So they section people off by, now here's our Black community. Now here's our Hispanic community, or Latinx, I guess is what they call them now. Here's our LGBT communities, or sections of our company. That sounds really, really segregationist, and I don't like that.
And I was like, I'm feeling very emotional. Can you give me a second? And they said, no, you need to do.
Oh, that's a bad thing. No, you don't force somebody when they are getting swarmed and they are having an emotional response. Because if she's anything like me, and I think she might be a little like me, if you get emotional like that, I get mad before I get remorseful of anything. My first reaction is anger. My blood will boil, and I will be enraged. They will activate the full-on mecha kaiju harpy. I will bring out the riding crop, and I will slap down anybody who tries to come after me. Anybody. But then again, I also have had a little bit more experience dealing with the people who just want to attack and hurt and harm and make you feel bad. And I realized that I don't have a problem treating them like the scripted, soulless telemarketer accounts that they are. Treating them like the bots that they are. And once you realize that about these people, especially, and I will clarify, I never go to them. They always find me. There are always people who don't follow me, who I've never had any interaction with. And I'm pretty sure the same thing with her. She probably never has had any interaction, any encounter with these people. They go to her, they find her, they seek her out, they seek out things to be offended by. I've seen that happen to friends in the community for posting about Harley Quinn. I've seen that happen to celebrities. I've seen that happen time and time again. And the only people that are forgiven are the people who turn into that mob, who turn into this hateful, horrific, anti-you sort of clique. You know, those people.
I do not need a 40-year-old white dude.
Those people.
Do this now. And so I did. I was like, okay, we have to do it now. Then let's do it now. And so I watched their documentary and I got on the phone with them. And they basically were, you know, just two very gentle people. And they were like, we're sorry, you know, like you stepped in what they call a landmine. And we can tell, you know, you're not here against us. And they actually reported back to Disney and Lucasfilm. You know, they thought it would be a bad idea if they canceled me, you know, or if they let this affect anything, because you know, I got on the phone with them and I said, hey, I got on Zoom with them and I explained, hey, I just, you know, I don't have any hate in my heart for anyone. You know, I stepped in the line, man.
Sounds like a corporate struggle session to me. It's disgusting, right? Exactly. Corporate struggle session. A re-education camp by any other name, a struggle session is still a re-education camp. Lettuce says, yes. That's the difference here. They don't realize that is re-education camps. That is forcing somebody to change their thought process. And this is the thing that really gets me with this. That really gets me is that she went on the Zoom call for the first Zoom call. There was two of them that she's talking about in this. The first Zoom call she actually did, and they said, yeah, it would be a bad idea to cancel her. We don't think she actually meant anything. She doesn't have hate in her heart for anybody. She's not out there trying to harm the transgender community. It would be a big mistake to cancel her. So what do? They cancel her anyway because they don't like her, because they believe all these things, because it's infuriating when they're wrong. It's infuriating when somebody holds a mirror up to them.
I mean, we got down to this like statement within like 2 words, like almost like 2 words, this ridiculous thing. And they were like, and they just said it was not apologetic enough.
Not apologetic enough. How do you have it not be apologetic enough? So what? You're not saying, I am so sorry that I hurt all of you, and to admit guilt to something like that would basically be to apologize for something like that would be to admit guilt. It would be to say, yes, I had this ill will, you know, that would be what it seems like to me. So she gets it down to a couple of words of what she's comfortable with saying and what they're comfortable letting her say. And then they still said, you don't sound apologetic enough. You don't sound like you're guilty. And that's the problem. That's the problem here. That's the problem here is they want you to be guilty. They just want you to be guilty, whether it's true or not, just to appease the little wokey wokes, just to conform, because that's their clique.
It was shocking. Like, I want to communicate. They wanted me to get, and all of these Lucasfilm employees are railing me on their websites. I mean, one of them, creative director, had a GoFundMe, and in the GoFundMe bio, it was like, this is because our ignorant actress, and, you know, and like, it was like, so they wanted me to get on the phone with like 40 of their LGBTQ community.
That sounds like they wanted her to be jumped into a gang, right? That sounds like, oh, we want 40 people to yell at you on a Zoom meeting. We want to have 40 people shame and shun and tell you how horrible you are, and you have to bend over and submit and take it. How is that okay? How is that okay? Like, I get that Disney is a corporation and they have an image and they have a reputation of being this family friendly. You know, keep your grown-up stuff out of the Disney stuff, right? They have this reputation. So how is that okay? How is that a corporate practice? How is a shaming session and a shunning session and basically a forced bullying of an actress going to fix anything? How is that going to appease anybody? How is that going to fix anything when she didn't even mean the thing Because see, if I were in that meeting, if I were there, I'd be like, you know what? You guys need to lighten up. I didn't mean it, but the fact that you're reacting like a bunch of bullies just proves that maybe you might be. You 40 specifically might be. Not the entire community. Stop speaking and stop being assholes on behalf of the LGBTQ community, please. Stop being jerks on behalf of the rest of the community, because guess what? You're giving the community a bad reputation. You're giving people reason to resent the community by being the bad guys. Don't give people reason to resent your community, because it's not a very good look for you. It is not a very good look for any of us. Oh, but no. They want to do this.
Not on the phone, on Zoom. And I felt like you're all these people, all your employees are slandering the hell out of me right now.
Mm-hmm.
You think I want to get on a video where they can then film it, And I felt very kind of insecure about that. So what I offered them was, the restaurants at the time had, started opening back up. And I was like, let me take, 4 or 5 of them out to dinner, and it'd be a person to person. You can look me in my eyes. I can look you in your eyes, and let's have a genuine conversation. And I think it's also a bit abusive that you want me to talk to 40 people and hear 40 people that have been slandering, and maybe not all of them have been slandering me, but a lot of them probably.
That's the thing. A lot of them do. A lot of them have their sock puppets. A lot of them have burners. And Ichibaka does some great work over on social media gathering this. Data Racer and Ichibaka are 2 accounts you want to follow if you want to find all of the dirt on every Lucasfilm employee that has had some negative interaction with people on social media just because they're allowed to. The issue that I keep seeing with Lucasfilm is they like to focus so much on the feminism. They like to focus so much on, the Force is female. Unless you're a woman who doesn't cave to the transgendered slam call, the group meeting of, now we're going to have 40 people coming to your Zoom meeting just so they can tell you why you suck and how horrible you are.
Wait, I don't feel like I've really deserve this, I mean, don't you guys see what's happening online? It's like all these bots. It's not even like faces. It's not real people. It's just, and it feels like I don't know who these people are. Children,
yes. These are kids with 3 or 4 accounts. One of them will be a Captain Marvel account. Mostly it's Disney, though. Then they'll have a Raylo account for Star Wars or something garbage like that. Once you say something bad about Disney, that's when they swarm you. That's when they slam you the most. And she's absolutely right. You don't know who these people are. You can't treat them as anything other than a telemarketer, a bot, a marketing account, because they don't have their own face on their profile picture. They don't give you anything other than their fan accounts, because 9 times out of 10, these companies have these things called chatterers. They hire people to, or they encourage, or they'll use some of their marketing budget to hire an agency to set up some basically telemarket. That's what this is. These are internet telemarketers. These are people who will comment on a video without watching the video just to slam you. These are people who don't subscribe to your content. These are people who don't follow you on social media, who always have their little cliques and clubs and queues and tribes in their profiles. They'll have pronouns. They'll have a wave for whatever political affiliation they have. They'll have all of these things, but they don't have anything like a personality or a photo of themselves. They always want to fight for all these things. And then what is it? What happens? They don't prove that they're even human. And this is what she's talking about. She wants to have a real human interaction with a real human person and get to know and understand where they're coming from, why they might be upset with that. That's what I'm interpreting that as, hey, let me tell you what I'm coming from, where I'm coming from. Let's have a discussion and talk to each other like we're 2 human beings.
Or just bots or whoever the hell these people are.
Twitter rage mob.
Yeah. And they're awful. And I actually asked the LGBTQ community leaders for the trans section, I was like, why don't you guys address that? Mm-hmm. It might be healthier if you addressed what's happening, the aggressive push. And they didn't really have an answer to that.
No, they don't. That's the thing. They don't understand that that's actually damaging the community. I can't speak for anything else, but I can speak as a woman. People like Anita Sarkeesian ruin it for women. As a bisexual person that doesn't like having to fucking drop that all the time, I do not like seeing how the LGBTQ or the transgender community, I do not like seeing how all of those people are supposed to be stereotyped as all the same all of a sudden. They're not the same. And I don't speak for them. I don't speak on behalf of them. I can speak on behalf of myself and say, I don't think this way. I don't see this as being a healthy representation of a community that is supposed to be so inclusive of people. It doesn't matter how they identify, how they were born. But the fact that now people are going to be coming into the online communities, people are now going to be seeing this as, this is the representation of your transgendered or your LGBTQ communities, is immediately associated with hate mob. I don't want that. I don't want that in the same sentence as any community that I might identify with. Same thing as toxic fans. It is just as offensive as labeling all Star Wars fans as toxic fans when it's the hate mobs. It is clearly these marketing account hate mobs and the people who follow along, the sheep who follow along and recite back this rhetoric.
You offered a logical answer to an emotional response, and that's not what they respond to. They're only going to. It only helps if you offer an emotional response to emotional response, and
which is crazy. So what? You're now supposed to handle these hate mobs by what? Bullying them back. By what? By apologizing? Is that either or, right? So you're supposed to handle these mobs by using these you can't respond with logic. You can't respond with reason. What does that sound like? You can't reason with it. They don't respond to logic. Why do we do that? Why do we take what other people say so seriously? Why do we hold what other people think and say as this be all end all sort of thing, right? And the fact that we are listening to these emotional children who react with emotion only, they can't be reasoned or logicked out of anything, right? You can't reason with them, you can't use logic. That should tell us all we need to know, that we're listening to the wrong people. We are listening to the loudest, most screamingest of people. And how many people are irrational and emotional and don't say anything intelligent? And how many people are just screaming and throwing temper tantrums and the world is listening to them like they're grown up enough to have a point of view that's worth listening to? I'm sorry, I'm not listening to that fucking toddler throwing a temper tantrum in aisle 3 any more than I'm listening to the toddler on social media yelling at me, calling me an ist and a foe, because it's the same goddamn thing. It's the same behavior. It is the loudest, most screamingest of brat behavior.
That's what she told me. And I was like, well, I get that, but why can't you offer a logical answer? I mean, that should be your right to. My logical answer was, you guys kind of misinterpreted that. And there also is this massive mob out there that's just bullying people left and right. So I had a great conversation with her and she left beaming and I it was a great conversation.
Kathleen Kennedy and that side of Lucasfilm, I think they honestly think that the only people who like Cara Dune are the 40-year-old white conservative dudes, right? I think they don't realize that she has slowly become, like, just because of the actress who plays her, she has slowly become an actual feminist icon. She has actually become this role model. She has become the very character that Kathleen Kennedy has been trying to make with Rey for all this time. And it pisses off Kathleen Kennedy that you have somebody who comes along and does it better. You have a man who brings in a much better female character and she cannot stand that. And she cannot stand that. And I think that's part of why they wanted to get rid of Cara Dune. And it just was icing on the cake that, oh, good, she's conservative. We can get rid of her now because we can use anything. Because I think they were trying for her earlier. I think it was already a thorn in Kathleen Kennedy's side, as per the hit pieces that they were writing in 2019 about Cara Dune, about the character, about, oh, well, people don't like it. People call this character SJWE. And they were already trying to paint this character in a negative light. They were already trying to paint this character as somebody that they would be setting up for a failure, setting up to be the next Rose Tico. And it pissed off Kathleen Kennedy that didn't happen. And not only did that not happen, then the more that the woke mobs came after her, the more we defended her, the more we circled to protect her. Not that she needs us, to. She certainly can do it on her own, and she can be the type of person who would be protecting all of us. She would be the front one in the battle. She's Xena out there. And we're just the people there. You know what? Yeah, we're going to be right behind you. We're going to be right behind you, and we're going to stand up to Kathy. We're going to stand up to this camp at Lucasfilm. And they don't realize that. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!